hey, getting close here.
Yep.
We only have 2 more categories left. Biggest disappointment and then our game of the year. Oh my god, this has been going on so long. Oh my god, I'm falling off my chair. Oh my... We're off the rails.
He's falling off the chair because you're at the edge of your seat.
Podcast pays for the whole seat, but you're only going to need the edge. That's for sure.
A little bit of behind the scene thing. We've got cameras going on. And
no, we don't.
Oni just adjusted himself, but
wait a second. No, shut your damn mouth. I adjusted the chair. When you say adjusted himself,
no,
you need
listen
to
to
be
me.
very clear about what you're talking about there.
You adjusted the chair, moving closer to the camera. Your entire outline faded into the background, whatever thing, and I just saw the character that's on your shirt, and that was all that was on my camera.
Oh, it's Comic Book Girl 19. It's her as Bene Gesserit of Dune.
Oh.
Yeah, you don't know that, do you?
I just saw like the face, and I thought it was like a Pam from Archer thing.
Pam from Archer? What?
All right, moving on. Let's not get more sidetracked. So, category number 6.
Dune is a wonderful, wonderful book, and it's going to be a movie. Please, everybody, read the book or listen to the audiobook before the movie comes out, because then there's going to be a big influx of it. But anyway, you will be smarter for having read that book or listened to the audiobook. Please read Dune.
Our biggest disappointment in a video game.
Oh, okay, because I was going to say it's
2020. My 2 nominations are the Switch Cloud game experience that I had for Control and the Pokemon Dungeon re-release.
Pokemon Mystery Dungeon.
Oh, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. That is correct.
Yeah. Which you only played the demo of.
I stand by it.
So we have some theming here. My nominations are Giraffe and Annika. That whole second half. And Final Fantasy VII getting Nomura'd.
Yeah, your salt is real on this one.
I have so much indignation. I'm basically a mage from the Tales of series.
I do not know if I can rise above the amount of hate that you have for this game, but we will get to that soon. With that said, first cut goes to you.
I think I'm going to cut the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon re-release, Galen.
Okay.
Are you okay with that?
Well, so the reason that this was such a disappointment to me was just my overall lack of enthusiasm within the game itself. And I'm totally into this kind of like dungeon crawler, tile-based exploration. Like, one of my favorite games this year was Snack World, and spoiler alert, I guess, for later, but this follows a very similar kind of pattern when playing the game, and I felt like this game was simply a re-release, not necessarily a remastered. I did not feel like there was anything that was updated with it, control scheme. I felt like they were just bringing the franchise to this new generation or this new year without updating any of the reason why people kind of like looked at it fondly. That is why it was such a disappointment to me.
On a technical standpoint, it is a remake because it was originally a Game Boy Advance and DS game.
Correct. That being said, I also realize that a lot of the disappointment that I'm sensing from here is my own personal experience. So
that's okay. These are the Oni Dino Galen Awards, so it's okay that it's your own personal experience.
It's true, but I want to try to
look at any of these, especially this very category.
It's 100% true.
It is
best paperweight. Who comes up with that?
No, shut up. I'm talking about. I came up with it. I'm talking about this very category in particular. These are all extremely personal experiences.
Trying to remove my own ego from it, however, I realized that there are probably some people who enjoyed this game fairly well.
I really love the way it looks.
So I will accept this as the number 4 cut.
Okay. It escaped. I don't know. I was trying to make a Pokemon joke. I don't know.
It got away.
There we go. It was not very effective. Why didn't I go for that? Low hanging fruit.
All right, so I guess my cut is next. Before I make the cut, Oni, tell me about why you put Giraffe and Annika on the list.
I put this on the list because I can't think of a game that I played this year that had such a downturn. When I started it, it was such a pleasant little, lovely little experience. And I was like, oh, this will be a nice little, 3-4 hour adventure for me to go on. And the colors are nice. The characters are cute. Controls kind of are like we're skating on ice, but that's okay. It is what it is. But then it really overstayed its welcome.
Yeah.
About a third into the game, I was feeling it. Halfway into the game, I was
done and over with.
Well, no, I wasn't done yet. I was so like, oh, I hate this. I'm going to see it through to the end, though. I'm going to show this stupid game who's who. I'm the video game boy here. And then 2/3 of the way through is when I set the controller down and stopped playing, which these days I hardly ever do when I'm that close to the end.
With that said, I'm going to make this my number 3 cut.
I agree with you. Looking at the other two that are on this list, your experience with Control, and my experience with Final Fantasy VII, I think Giraffe and Annika belongs right there at number 3.
Nah, I agree. So, my experience with the Switch cloud gaming experience is 100% a disappointing one. This is the first time that I'd really tried to go for a cloud experience, and I will admit, I did not give it the best of circumstances to experience it in, but I did that on purpose, because to me, this was an important test to see if this was a viable option going forward.
Yeah.
I feel like if you are going to have a Switch game, relying on cloud as a viable option to try to stay competitive with the newer generation consoles until whatever Switch Pro eventually comes out, it needs to work in handheld. It needs to work at Wi-Fi.
And that's why Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is so good, because it's a handheld game that relies on cloud. Go on.
It failed on those expectations for me. Now, I'm sure if I can go ahead and try again, I could go ahead and play Control on, with a wired connection, and it would definitely improve my experience, but I don't have that option, because when I tried to play the demo again, it only gave me the first, 15, 20 minutes just to see if this would be an experience that would work for me. And that was incredibly frustrating. I would have to download a completely new cloud game to go ahead and re-experience this to see if I can make it better.
You can play it on a different profile, but yes, I understand.
But then you have to go through more steps and more hoops just to try to make it work, or put your money down and roll those dice, see if it works. And I don't know, just the entire experience left a really bad taste in my mouth, and it made me think that cloud gaming is not where it needs to be reliable right now.
Yeah.
I wanted this to be a path that they could stay current without me having to buy a new console down the road.
That makes perfect sense. Like, why? I shouldn't say why, but I mean, like, how often have you thought about this, since you've had that experience, right?
A few times. And even before, cloud gaming really came into play, we had talked about this and talked about the idea of, the uniqueness of the mobility of Switch. I threw out the idea of having some sort of mobile technology built into it where it goes off of cell phone signals as opposed to reliant only on Wi-Fi to be able to get that going. I want that mobility to be there. It needs to be there. But once you keep it all in a wired single place, it loses its effectiveness. And it just becomes
it loses the point, and then it's like, well, why would I play the worst version of the game then?
Exactly.
If it has to be wired and blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
Unless it's my literal only option.
Yeah.
So one thing is sticking out to me here. And that's when I said, how often have you thought about this? And you're like, yeah, several times. Let me tell you about Final Fantasy VII Remake getting Nomura. I've thought about that goddamn game every goddamn day since I've played it. I'm not kidding. This is a frustrating game for me because I love certain parts of it. I love the original, of course. I love certain parts of this remake. I love certain things that they did, like changing up, by the way, full spoilers, changing up the story. Challenging things like that, challenging the fan base. I love that idea. Unfortunately, Nomura has a pen in his hand and he's going f***ing wild. And he's just turning this into Kingdom Hearts. The only thing that I can say that is good about that is that, well, Final Fantasy XVI is not being written by him because he's too busy marching Final Fantasy VII into an open grave. I'm so frustrated with how someone who is involved in the ground floor creative process of 7, the original game, is clueless about what makes his game so special. Tifa and Aerith are nothing but waifu fodder. This was supposed to be, well, we're gonna expand the game so that way we can learn more about the world, about the characters, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, cool, yeah, we can do that. I mean, this game feels like padding in so many ways. In so many ways. There were parts that they expanded a little bit, but like to the amount of like a $5 or $10 DLC kind of value. This is not a $60 experience where, okay, we're gonna flesh out the 3 characters in Avalanche. Wedge, Biggs, and Jesse. Wegs is the, of course, love child.
So you got Wegs and Bridge.
Yeah, and Jesse, aka the horniest bitch on the planet. Everything. Like 99% of what she says is about how badly she wants to bang Cloud.
Yeah, she's kind of a one-note character there.
The unfortunate thing here, though, is that there was a couple of scenes, there was a couple of little things that they did with her character that were interesting. One of the biggest surprises in that game for me was when we had to go to her like family's house to like, I forgot what, like, this is how insignificant this little stupid part of the story
you had to go and
was.
get some sort of like key card from her dad who
yeah
was,
like I don't even remember what it was, but
yeah.
So I'm sneaking in while the other characters are in the front part of the house, and I love that you didn't go into that room and you didn't see it, you only heard everything. I liked that bit of part. Whatever. So you can hear they're talking over dinner, blah blah blah. I'm going into the back of the room, and then I wander into the room where the key card thingy is, and there is Jesse's dad in a coma hooked up to life support, and I'm sneaking around and I'm like, whoa, this is like, where are we going? This is weird and interesting, and I was so pleasantly surprised by how weird that was. There are moments in this game that are so fascinating. I loved that new character that they put in there. Oh god, I forgot his name.
Roche?
Huh? Roche, thank you. Why do you know? Why do you know? You haven't played this game. You can't even hold a controller. Anyway, Roche is fantastic. He's the perfect campy Advent Children vibe that you want when you think about, expanded portions of this stupid Final Fantasy VII universe. But they have taken these characters and somehow made them worse when it should have been expanding them out, like Jessie, like Tifa, like Aerith, like just the absolute disregard for their characters. So, and then, hold on, no.
No, go on.
You wound me up, and I gotta walk. And then thinking about this, and my lovely boy Jay messaged me about this. He's like, I have not played the original. I have played Final Fantasy VII. You're one of the few people that I've really heard be critical about this game as opposed to, singing its praises. I fully acknowledge that I am in the minority on this. I know I am. But it's just, there's so much juvenile writing. The characters are not built up at all appropriately for a full game, let alone a single arc in a 3-part story, potentially. Like, when you get to the end of the game, if you've never played the original Final Fantasy VII, and even still to some degree, you still have no idea who is Cloud, who is Sephiroth, why do they care? They don't flesh that out. They're kind of living off of like not even the original game's story. They're living off of what the public knowledge is and like the fandom of these characters, because they are creating newish versions of them. And also Sephiroth is apparently Advent Children Sephiroth and not like the original Sephiroth. So like they're doing their own thing, which I appreciate, but they didn't set these things up. They didn't write anything in a good way. You asked me at one point, you were like, oh, is this a good jumping in spot? No, no, this isn't a good anything spot, because even so, it's just like, it's fan wank. This sounds like a terrible fan story. Sounds like fan fiction.
It sounds to me like your first what if your first introduction to Cloud and Sephiroth were meeting them in Kingdom Hearts? Like, you have
That's
these
basically
characters.
what this is. They turned this into Kingdom Hearts, and it's such a damn shame.
So, pulling back a little bit, I am seeing an interesting parallel going on here. My biggest disappointment of this year had to do with the future of the technology of gaming. With you, however, you are actually more offended by the way that the nostalgia is being handled, specifically in how you do a remake and do things like that.
It's not like, oh, they're not appreciating the original or something like that. They're not, honoring it. I absolutely have no feeling about that at all. It is not that. It's that they're half-assing doing that and making this weird, like, cracked foundation of making this weird Frankenstein thing. Like, it's just supposed to be, you've heard of Cloud, you've heard of Sephiroth, you have heard that they're some of the best characters in video gaming. They're not. They're good, but they're not, But you've heard this, and so therefore, that's what the foundation is, and that's why we're doing this game. It's basically like standing in a crowd and hearing somebody say, oh, this is a good game. And then you're like, oh, yeah, I played it too. Yeah, and that's what you're going on.
You know that the scene of, Sephiroth standing there with fire behind him is very important, iconic, because
it's basically
that's
like
his victory animation in Smash Bros. Yeah.
Well, you're a real gamer, right? So you're gonna like this game, kind of thing. It's that and all of the padding that they do and all of the dungeons. But talking back on this a bit. Sorry, we've gone on a really long time, but it's Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I feel so strongly about it. The reason I feel so strongly about it is because there are good things in this game. I loved that battle system. I don't think that they did it exactly right, because, I mean, whoever you take current control of, suddenly all of the enemies target you, and you can't control that. So if you wanted to be Aerith and cast spells and do certain things, it's not balanced the right way. In that all of a sudden they will start focusing on you, and you can't give commands to your party like Tails, where you're like, okay, you focus on healing, you focus on taking out an enemy over here as opposed to the same enemy I'm attacking, or something like that. Basic stuff that they've had since the Super Nintendo, and you can't do any of that in Final Fantasy VII. Despite that, I love the battle system. I really want to go back and play that battle system a lot. It's the writing that is so bad. So bad, man.
So, here's the big question. Arguments on the table. Do you think that Final Fantasy is more disappointing than Online Switch?
Yes.
Yeah?
I with every fiber of my being, yes. Because part of me wants to say, well, it's Nintendo, the Nintendo Switch, this didn't surprise us. It just disappointed us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And really, how do I want to say this? The expectations that I have for what is acceptable for an online experience is expectations that I have set up in my own mind, whereas the objections that you have had on how the story and how the characters are being handled do have a physical comparison to be able to put it up to. So with that being said, and trying to remove my own ego from that, yeah, I'll give you Final Fantasy was the bigger disappointment.
I can't even remove my own ego from that. That's how genuinely
and I understand that rage. I understand that rage.
I wish when I heard that the ending was controversial before I got to it and divisive, I was like, awesome. And especially when I heard that they said that, like, oh, well, fans of the original are going to be upset. I was like, great. Don't do the exact same thing over again. That's great. The problem was that they just turned it into Kingdom Hearts. Suddenly, everybody's talking like you missed an entire video game, and you didn't. You didn't miss an entire video game. Nomura just can't write in a straight line ever. Everything has to be Kingdom Hearts speak, and everything's nothing. iPatchWolf said it so well on the Let's Fight a Boss podcast way earlier this year. Everything is nothing, and nothing is everything. And then it's like, It removes player agency, it removes character agency, and it's just, what are we even doing?
Well, what we are doing right now is we are declaring Final Fantasy VII Remake getting Nomura'd our biggest disappointment of 2020.
Number 2, Switch cloud gaming experience with Control.
Number 3, Giraffe and Annika. And number 4, the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon re-release.
Demo.
I really wanted to kind of like be intrigued in getting into the series. I just couldn't do it.
Okay, we've been arguing a long time.
We have been, and it has all culminated to this final award. Oni, let's talk about Game of the Year.
I've brought 3 fighters to the table in this Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Ultimate Style 3-on-3 battle.
As have I. And this is going to be the most convoluted 3-on-3 action you've ever seen and not had to pay in Pornhub for. But beforehand, I do want to give a couple of honorable mentions.
Okay.
Really, really fast.
Yep.
Just a couple of games that, honestly, I think they're good. They're worth talking about in more detail at another point.
Yep.
So, I want to give special shout-outs to such games as One Step from Eden, The Wonderful 101 Remastered, and honestly, Cyberpunk 2077. It's not going to make it list. I definitely think it's got some great world building and story beats to it, but way too much going on with that to recommend.
Gotcha.
Also, Baldur's Gate Early Access. Like, it's good early access, but that's another point. So
that's cool. That is good to hear.
You got any honorable mentions?
Definitely. Of course, I am the biggest champion on the internet for this game. Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE Encore. I love that game. I'm glad it got a second chance.
Barry Goodman is your stan.
I just love it very much. I think that with a more challenging writing team, they could really write some interesting stories, and this could turn into a fantastic series of Nintendo property twisted and turned into a Shin Megami Tensei-esque game style. It just, there is so much open creativity for them to make every single game in this like very loose series sort of like it's Nintendo property and sort of like a Shin Megami Tensei turn-based RPG, and I would love it so much. I also know I'm in the minority. I also know this game didn't sell well on either the Wii U or the Switch, but I'm so glad it got a second chance. I love this game so much. Please do check it out if you like JRPGs. Please be my friend on the internet. Also, Trials of Mana. I really enjoyed my time with that game. If you need a Super Nintendo RPG made in 2020, Trials of Mana is it. It is a comforting warm blanket and a bowl of soup that you've had before.
You know, I'm really sensing this theme of like bringing those older games with that modern polish, in.
Yes. And on that topic is Bug Fables. That's a really, really nice, lovely little game.
The buggiest Super Mario RPG.
It is a spiritual successor indie game. If you love Thousand Year Door, here is Thousand Year Door again, doing a little bit of its own thing with bugs. And it's lovely. It's lovely. It's a nice little experience. Under Hero is another indie game that came out. It came out, I think, in 2018 on Steam, but it finally released on like consoles and Switch way earlier this year. I loved that game so much because it did really, really cool stuff. Like, it did the kind of stuff that when I hear people talk about, oh God, no, I don't want to make this comparison. I'm not making this comparison. People will kill me. Under Hero did really cool stuff all the way up to the very, very end. It was just such a surprise for me, and I can't sing the praises of that game whatever. And also very similar to Thousand Year Door in many ways. And lastly is a tail end inclusion. Honestly, probably the best experience I had with a video game all year. So it kind of should be on my list that we're about to talk about, but it isn't because it's just too fresh in my mind. I need to sit with it a little bit longer, but it is my best experience I have with a video game. It's a 2 or 3 hour long interactive visual novel called If Found.
Okay.
It is... Boy, I don't even want to give away spoilers or anything. It is... It's on phones and stuff, but it's also on the Switch, and it just came out on the Switch this year. You use your finger to rub away parts of a journal and parts of a screen. Part of it is real life, part of it is like a story that your main character is writing. It's about LGBTQ experiences, and not only that, even if you're not LGBTQ, it is very relatable if you are from either a shitty town or a small town and you've left that place and gone back, and it's basically about the depression of your 20s, being a millennial and younger, being a person that is on the older end of the millennial spectrum. I think, I don't know, we're in our mid-30s, well, early-ish to mid-30s, we're around there. I very much related to that because, like, when I graduated from college, when Galen and I both, sorry, this is meant to be short. I'm sorry, but I love this game. The recession just happened. You know, the 2008 recession just happened. Boy, was it hard to find a job. Boy, was it hard to find a job, even though you had a degree and you were supposed to pay back your loans, and then your parents were yelling at you. And you were living with your parents in your shitty town that you hated, and you wanted to desperately get out, but then you were falling deeper into depression. Boy, that was a hard time in my life, and in many of our lives, people that were, say, born in the late 80s or mid 80s.
Still a hard time.
Still a hard time, yeah. Well, for different reasons now.
Yeah.
Now with coronavirus. And anyway, an incredibly well-written, very relatable game. I cried 3 separate times playing this game. I cry so seldomly during video games. I know we've had a question before on the podcast from one of our listeners about, like...
Just, do you cry?
Well, do you cry? You will. That was a Batman versus Superman reference. Don't ever watch that movie. Oh, they're so bad. I can probably count, if I could remember, the amount of games that I've cried during on one hand, with 3 of the fingers missing. But yeah, If Found, cried 3 separate times during the story, near an ending part, and in the epilogue, just because in such a short amount of time, in such an excellently, perfectly, tightly wound amount of time, these characters were so relatable, and the experience was so relatable. God, it was great. Play If Found, everybody. I don't want to say spoilers on it hardly, just because it's excellent. Play If Found. It's on Switch. It was on sale just now. That's why I bought it. It was on sale for like less than $9, I think. I mean, it was so cheap. And it's also a Christmas game. I played it on Christmas Eve, not knowing that, at the perfect time. Cried like a baby, had an excellent introspective time. Please play that game. If found.
Excellent.
Sorry.
That's okay, man. You know what? If we had more slots, I would definitely love you to put this on our Game of the Year list. But we don't. So let's talk about what we did put on the list. Are we just going Muppets? Merp? Oni, in my corner, I have backing me Snack World, the Resident Evil 3 remake, and my heavy hitter Animal Crossing New Horizons. Who do you got?
I got Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition.
All right.
Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity.
A newbie, but a goodie.
And Hades.
That's a good team. It's a really good team.
Now, Galen,
right.
Being the non-fighting game person you are, I have a feeling that you're going to start off by doing a raw level 3 super, and I'm going to defend it. As we all do.
I'm just going to turtle in the corner and throw out Hadogans. Quarter circle forward, bitch.
Oh my god, that's like some Scott Pilgrim level shit that I hate.
All right, so you giving me first cut?
Yes, it is your turn. If I remembered correctly.
Xenoblades.
I mean, first off, you said the goddamn name wrong.
Hey, that is me showing how little respect I have for my opponent. No, I mean, it's Xenoblade Chronicles sounds like an amazing time. But it is also a remake. Or a definitive edition, even. I mean, yeah, that's just the thing. Like, there's different categories it can be put into. Yeah. And quite frankly, I can kind of make better arguments for any of these. So I feel like that is the easiest cut right off the bat.
Yeah, so as I said, a raw level 3 super. Just going straight for my heart. You know how much I love Xenoblade. You know how much I
know you do.
This game.
I know you do, but there's some good games on this list.
There are. There really, really are. And the only reason that I'm going to let this happen is because it is a remaster. There's new content in there. Unfortunately, it's probably the weakest part of the game. Still good, but felt a little bit like padding, I guess. Didn't feel particularly connected to the original game in a nice way. It was okay.
Yeah.
This is still the best way to play this video game. It looks so good. They redid the character models of the most important characters, of course. And it looks so good. The story is excellent. Like, this is a great jumping in point for Xenoblade. I think it's on sale right now for like $20 off, at least in the States.
Oh, nice.
Please do check out Xenoblade. Please do ask me if you got questions about it. That battle system is great. I understand if some people are like, I don't like MMO battle systems. Neither do I. This one gets me though. It really, really does. The only thing that's really MMO so much about it is you got some cooldown skills. But you have auto attack and you don't manage that. It just happens, you know. But you do have to worry about positioning, and you do have to worry about what your skill build is, what your party build is. I played all of those characters in this version and had such a great time with all of them, and they were all so very, very different. And depending on which characters you had in your party, that very character might play very differently too. And they have different ways to go. You could make Ryan a big old tank. You could make him an attacker. You could make Melia a support character. You could make her an offensive mage. There was so much going on in that game. It's really wonderful, and it's our 6th best game of 2020.
Agreed. Now, I know what my number 5 would be, but the next cut goes to you, so...
This is hard.
I know, it's a good list. There are no losers except for 5 of them.
No. I'm not saying this is my number 5 here, but Galen, tell me a little bit about Resident Evil 3 Remake.
That is actually my number 5 cut, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, so Resident Evil 3 continues on with the amazing way to really do a remake. It shows that Capcom is on point. They know how to capture the essence of the original. This feels like playing Resident Evil 5, and it really gets across
Resident Evil 5?
Or, I'm sorry, Resident Evil 3.
Okay.
Sorry, the numbers confuse me.
Yes. Capcom as well. Devil May Cry 5 is the 6th mainline entry in the series.
Oh, jeez. Capcom, no. What are you doing?
Hey, Square Enix has got the problem too. Bravely
It's
Default
true.
2
There's a lot
is
of
the
them.
3rd mainline entry in the series.
What?
Go on.
But no, when Resident Evil 3 first came out, they really were wanting to put the focus on having like more action in their survival horror game. And I feel like comparing the Resident Evil 2 remake to the Resident Evil 3 remake, that comes out as well.
Okay.
Like, this definitely feels like a much more action-oriented game. However, there are a couple of things that they took out of the game which I do take umbrage with a bit.
I heard about that. I have now. Just before you get into this, I want to say the reason I said, tell me about it is because I haven't played 3 Remake yet, despite being very excited for it, despite owning it. I bought it when it went on sale.
I'm surprised that didn't make your paperweight list.
Oh, that's true. That's really true. Yeah.
Yeah, that probably would have won it out, to be honest.
I really want to play this game. I really, really do, because I love everything about Resident Evil 3. I really do. And so a remake just made so much sense to me. I heard that they took out the clock tower part.
So
it's completely missing, right?
I'm okay with them taking out the clock tower part.
It's my favorite part of the whole game.
There is a boss fight that happens in the courtyard of it.
Yes.
However, that does bring up one of my problems with it, is the fact that the Nemesis is supposed to be this, hulking, stalking creature that's coming after you the entire game. It's randomly set up that you don't know when he's going to show up. From what I understand, all of his appearances in the game are scripted. You know when he's going to show up once you have gone through multiple occurrences. It takes away that surprise element. It's not like Mr. X hunting you in the police department. Like, as soon as I do this event, he's going to show up from point A to point B. That's going to be the next thing for me to tackle.
Nemesis.
Also, yes.
Okay.
Also, they took away the fight or flight choices from the original game. Like, yes, okay, you can, choose to run around him and conserve your ammo versus actually fighting the Nemesis in those moments that he does show up where it's not a locked-in boss battle. However, you don't have the option of, okay, do I fight him here or do I jump off the bridge? And it completely changes the course of the story and depending on what my action will be in that moment. None of that is here.
Yeah, because the original RE3 was very short, but made up for that.
It is also a very short game.
Yeah, the remake is even shorter.
Yeah, it's like you can get through it in a solid 6 to 8 hours. Like first playthrough, exploring around.
Yeah.
So
RE3 original made up for it with the multiple choices you could make, and there was also a random element of what enemies are going to appear in this area. It was pretty much random. Same thing with certain items. It was random, so you had to adapt every playthrough, and certain things would play out different ways based on what decisions you made with Nemesis.
And
it's not here in this remake, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
That is not. That is correct. And then I think Capcom kind of knew that, and that's part of the reason why they tacked on that extra mode to it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I never played it. I lent my copy of the game to a friend right after I beat the main Resident Evil 3 story.
Yeah.
And he never gave it back. So
Well, go yell at him, because I want to play that mode. I want to play that online mode together with you.
Yeah, no, it does sound fun. But all of those factors being considered, I think it's a pretty easy call saying that this is lower on the list. So I'm fine putting this off as number 5.
Sounds like we just wanted more of it.
That's true. It really is true.
All right. It's your cut, Galen.
It is. I'm looking at what is on the list right here. I know the battle that I am going to want to fight for. So I will go ahead and take a sacrificial move of cutting Snack World as number 4.
Really?
Yeah. Snack World is an amazing game. And the humor, the lighthearted atmosphere for it, the addictive gameplay loop that's there on getting all of the different equipment and the leveling up and the weapon leveling up system that's actually in there. I mean, this is my level 5 jam. I am all about this kind of stuff. And it encapsulated my attention for so long. Like, I think there was a solid 3 weeks earlier this year that I was talking about this game, and I could not stop talking about it.
Yeah. I mean, you really made me want to play the game. I own it, and I've played tiny bits of it from the very beginning.
I never did find out if we could do the cross play.
Yeah,
with the different languages.
It sounds like, Galen, that you don't actually care about playing video games online with me as your best friend.
No, I mean it's true.
What's the problem there, huh?
I'm a terrible gameplay partner.
Right.
We both knew that was the case. Did you want to play games with me?
No, but you know.
It's nice to be included. My reason for cutting this so soon on the list, however, is because I fell into the same gameplay trope that I always do when I'm given this much freedom. I was giving too much incentive to replay different levels and to level grind. You know, it happened to me in Fire Emblem when I got to the...
Boy, did that happen to me in Fire Emblem.
Oh my god, yeah. No, there was on Fire Emblem for the 3DS, I want to say. There was a particular mission that I could replay.
There was 3 that came out on the 3DS at least.
The first one? What's the
Awakening.
One where Lucina came in?
Awakening.
Yeah, that's the one. There was a mission that I could replay that I realized that I could go ahead and make tons of money if I grind this level out, but I would have to lose all of my critical weapons, like my killing edge sword and everything like that if I went through it, which I would spend the money that I would get to buy the new critical edge weapons, which I would then break, and I recognize the loop way too late.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna have to start calling you Sisyphus, Galen.
I do love pushing that boulder.
Mm-hmm.
Snack World did the same thing though, especially because they have this cool mechanic where different days that you play, you get different bonuses, and it affects your RNG loot drop depending on what you're wearing. If you're wearing cool clothes on this Wednesday, you get a 0.25 times multiplier bonus for rare drops versus wearing casual clothes on Thursday, and it always changes. So it incentivized you to have a wide variety of outfits and clothing to go along with it, and weapons too. Weapons fall into that same thing. It was just the loop got me. It got me way too late.
Yeah.
And by the time I wanted to progress the story, I realized that there were other games coming out that I needed to play, and this could have very easily been a game that I played all year, and I would have been fine with that if I was playing it in a vacuum, if that made sense. So
I really want to play this game.
Yeah, fantastic game. I cannot recommend it highly enough. And I feel like because it didn't get a lot of that attention, the writing is great, it's clever, the localization is amazing, the actual gameplay and the battle mechanics in it are great. This is a fun game if you got a lot of time on your hands.
Boy, speaking of time on your hands, we're going to be talking about that with these next 3 games as well. So that's Snack World, number 4.
Yeah, I'll do number 4. So, cut goes to you.
So this is pretty cut and dry to me. Going off of your same logic where you're like, I know what I'm going to fight for, so therefore I will take a sacrificial slice with the Master Sword. Hit myself right in the jaw with that hilt. I am going to cut Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity.
I agree. I 100% agree. And that's the thing. I understand the importance of Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity specifically as a game, because it is doing a lot of cool things in progressing not only the Hyrule Warriors franchise, but also the expectations of what can be done. Like, yes, okay, it was cool to have a one-off Hyrule Warriors, Dynasty Warriors-esque game. Now they're doing another one? Can we expect more of these later down the road? Can we expect this kind of a treatment given to other Nintendo franchises?
And it's not just like a celebration of a series like Hyrule Warriors 1 was. Age of Calamity is what I understand to be a canonical look, canonical prequel.
There's time travel involved in there.
Yes,
so,
that's why I'm not actually
asterisks.
sure. I haven't beaten the game yet, so I don't know. I know that certain fanboys are upset on the internet. I don't know what that means exactly because
it means it's the internet and there are angry fanboys.
Well, yes, but I'm almost at the end, so I don't want to spoil it for myself other than by playing the game and beating it and yada yada. But
yeah.
It's so cool that it's an important Warriors almost spin-off game, almost prequel, and they did so many cool things with the characters and the gameplay systems. It is so very, very much not a Warriors game with, Breath of the Wild paint on it. It is not that at all, and I think that anybody that makes that claim doesn't know what they're talking about, you know what I mean? And I have not seen people make that claim. That's how further removed from that this end product is. It's wonderful.
Exactly.
It's really fun to play. There are problems with it, particularly the performance. It's not a technical mess or something like that, like I was worried about at first. There are certain dips and there are, issues like that. But I was playing as, spoiler alert for a character, the Great Fairies. And there are certain...
Fun.
It's really cool. It's really cool. She's got a great moveset.
Cool.
Like, all of the characters have a great moveset. They're so much fun to play. And each time that I get a new character, I'm like, oh my god, this one's my favorite. It's awesome. But I was playing as her, and there are 2 sizes of characters so far. Regular size and large size. So, like, Daruk is a large size. He's the Goron champion. Great Fairies, they're a large size. I was inside of a freaking... I was in a fort. I was in Akala Fortress. And, like, moving around you're fighting with the camera, and it just feels awkward. You're taking, like, empty, blind swings, and it's just a mess in certain small, very specific, but frequent enough scenarios that it is a mess. And, it holds the game back from being really amazing. It's our number 3 game.
Yeah, and I mean, as I was saying before, like, Snack World is an amazing game. Hyrule Warriors is an amazing game. But Hyrule Warriors also has that statement that goes along with it of what it means beyond itself.
What the f*** did that just mean, Galen?
It means that,
You're talking in shapes. No idea.
Square, triangle, triangle, circle.
Goodness.
But I feel like Hyrule Warriors has more of an impact on the gaming, like, environment as a whole. Like, I imagine the Warriors franchise excelling and progressing from the results of this game. I can't say that about Snack World. So I am perfectly fine having Hyrule Warriors number 3.
And so
that leaves number 2 and 1.
Yes, we're down to Animal Crossing New Horizons versus Hades, 1-on-1.
Yeah. I knew this day was going to come.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
How,
this was actually a pretty pretty close thing. When I saw you putting your submissions, like, I don't know, Hades is really good. So
Gotcha. But you didn't know that I was super into Hades, though.
I am looking at this as from my own experience of Hades, because I understand what the game is doing.
Everyone knows what both of these games are, so we don't have to introduce them.
Exactly.
But we have to explain why one is more successful in its own genre, as its own mission, than the other.
Yes. So looking at Hades, I think this is a fantastic success for not only the indie industry, but also just small creators as a whole. The fact that this game did get nominations as Game of the Year at the, Game Awards.
The most legitimate and serious of all.
Jeff Keighley, our Lord and Savior. Yes.
Get new shoes, bro.
I love the way that it is taking an interesting approach on roguelikes. Using the mechanic of death as a way of progressing storyline. That's cool.
It is so satisfying. When I die,
right?
I'm happy. I don't feel
cool, I get to see this next bit.
Yes, I feel like, okay, cool. All this stuff that I collected, sans gold, I get to put it into a bunch of different stuff, progress stories with characters. I get to give nectar to all these characters I like and then learn more about them, learn more about the world. And then each time that I go into the thing is a new, not only a new run and, build and blah, 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 but it's a new narrative. Like, for example, Megara is the first boss of the first area. You beat her like several times because you're going through it several times. It just switched to one of her sisters. Megara's no longer the first boss anymore. And I was like, what? Nice. And that was after it was so well established. And I was just starting to think, man, I'm gonna have to beat Megara every time. Number one, I love that character. She almost made my list for best new character. I don't like that. I have to do that. But then one of her sisters, and she is like psycho, like a zombie, like something's really messed up with her. It's just constantly doing new things. I've not come into the same line of dialogue twice, ever. Except for when Zagreus is like, oh, I can't sleep now or whatever. Like, that's fine. My God, all of those character designs. I like playing all of the weapons. All of the weapons. I have some that I like a little bit more than others, but whenever it's like, if you play with this weapon, you're going to get a plus 20% boost to whatever that one Nyx style collectible is. I always go for it, even if it's a weapon style that is one of my least favorite, just because I enjoy playing it so much, because the builds are so good and so varied every time that you never stick with one thing that you want to stick with. And it made me care about roguelites. I don't like roguelites because on paper it is everything I like, and then it is so deceptive and it makes me think like, no, why did I waste my money and my time on this? Why did I come back to this like an Alzheimer's patient? But no, this game makes me love roguelite, or this only roguelite.
No, absolutely. And I think of other roguelikes that I've played, because I feel like that is one of my go-to genres. Like, one of my honorable mentions, One Step from Eden. It should have been a roguelike that I would be championing over this one, because it's everything I like in a roguelike, but with Battle Network mechanics. Like, that sounds awesome. No, Hades is the better way to do it, because it invests you with everything that you do. There's never well, crap, I just wasted all my time.
And the most important part, second most important, the way that they do story progression in that is the best. But the second most important thing is that God mode that they put for option. It completely satisfies my issue that I have with roguelites, where it's like, it's really a crapshoot on whether I'm going to be making progress or not based on the luck of the draw with builds.
Yeah. It alleviates that punishment mechanic.
Alleviates, but only slightly. Every single time is so difficult. I'm like chest pounding, intense fighting. So many fights, not even just boss fights, but regular fights. every time, even with God mode on, because it only reduces the amount of damage you receive by 2% each death. So you're still making great progress if what you really care about is continuing to make progress. I've died a couple times before the last time, or before a floor that I got to the previous run. But that's okay, because every time is the way that they do story progression. I'm bringing stuff back. It's excellent. It's so well done.
See, and I'm a bit of a masochist. I haven't turned on God mode yet, so.
But that's, hey, maybe that's why you haven't played it so much as I have played it.
I've had a lot of games on my plate that have been coming up lately.
Yeah. But give it a shot. Give it a shot. You can turn it right back off. It's optional. It's brilliant.
You know what I haven't been able to turn off, though, is
the
Animal
stock
Crossing.
Market.
I have not needed to do the stock market in a while, but I might need to. Animal Crossing New Horizons is the redeeming light of 2020. It is what has gotten me through 2020 in so many different ways, and I feel like that is... It sounds like an exaggeration, but it's really not.
Okay.
We've stated before about its success, both monetary and reception-wise. But what surprises me so much is it has almost been a complete year since this game has come out. And I am still finding more reasons to want to play it. Mm-hmm. And there are very, very few games that have captured my attention in that way.
Yeah, for that Hades long, too.
Exactly.
Since March.
Hades offers a lot of variety and a lot of content for you to be able to plow through in order to, like, really experiment and try out different things. I don't know if it has a year's worth of enjoyable content in it.
For me,
whereas with Animal Crossing,
because there's so much to do in that game.
No, and I understand that. But with Animal Crossing, I was a little bit resilient to this at first, and I've stated my objection to. I feel like they're time gating me a little bit in a lot of different ways, but it kind of knew what it was doing. It is the most important aspect of the game, and not rush you, and to let you fully appreciate and understand the different things as they are adding in there. And in addition to that, the fact that, you know, they knew that the time travel glitch was definitely a thing where you can change your clock setting and, hey, I want it to be Christmas now because I want to do the Christmas event. Well, you can't, because it's been rolling out those free updates. It's been adding new items, new hairstyles, tons of new content at no additional cost.
Yeah, that is wonderful. I know you've said some complaints about the game too, though. The lack of inventory space, the way that you do online communication, or just the clunkiness.
And
menus.
Those kind of complaints really come from me playing the game and becoming more proficient with it. Like, the whole thing about the menus and everything like that, I still kind of hold true that, you know, I wish they would kind of like tone it down and become a little bit more streamlined.
Yeah.
But it had such an impact, and it made each and every NPC that I talked to much more personable. Like, I know that if I want to go to another player's island, I need to talk to Wilbur. Not, oh, I need to go to the lobby and, you know, I'll be over there in a second. It's you're assigning a name to each of these functions as opposed to the function itself.
Yeah.
And that is hard to do. I cannot think of any other games that really kind of ingrain a personality to their basic functions.
Yeah, you know, I would not argue, but I would bring up that Hades does a pretty good job of that, actually. Just coincidentally. I'm not even trying to be like, well, you know.
Yeah. You know, with Hades, I know that if I want to, you know, try out this particular build, I need to talk to these particular people, but you're associating, like, the moves and the powers that you're getting from those people. They make sense with who the characters are.
I was hoping that both of us giving our impassioned speeches would somehow lead me to say, yeah, okay, Animal Crossing, or yeah, okay, Hades. But I'm right back where I started, because here's the two big things that I'm hearing from us just now.
Okay.
One for me, I forgot. One for you.
Okay.
What was it for me? What did I... Oh, okay, I remember now.
How it got you into the roguelike genre?
Yeah, it's a roguelite that made me care about roguelites, which is outside of a shooter. I think that was the most difficult task that a video game ever had of me.
Yeah.
So there's that, but what I was gonna say is, you just ruined my... What was I gonna say? Oh, it is more successful in its genre than any other game that is set out to do a thing. You know what I mean?
In Hades?
Hades. I think it is the most successful roguelite that I haven't played many, so that's sort of a weak statement, but I think it is just so immensely successful as its genre. What the big thing I'm hearing with Animal Crossing is it is the game to really get you through this year. And I mean, I was going to make a joke about that, but you were like, but I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's really not. It really means that to me. I can't say that about Hades. I don't know if that's a fair comparison. I mean, none of these are really fair comparisons, because what other than this list?
You're comparing art to art. So.
Well, when would anybody say Animal Crossing's better than Hades? When would anybody ever say that? Because they are so different, other than a list like this, like Game of the Year. You know what I mean?
The other thing, though, is that while Hades may be one of the most successful roguelikes, Animal Crossing has been one of the most successful games of 2020.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't want to... that is a factor, but I think that is a very small factor, because this is yours and mine. No,
that's true. That's true. But it's a facet that needs to be addressed, because that is.
But if you want to say that, though, Hades was also immensely successful. When was the last time a indie game?
It was immensely successful for you.
No. For so many people, you brought up the Game Awards. It's received so much recognition. Everybody is talking about this game and Animal Crossing. This indie game and Animal Crossing are on everybody's top 10 list.
No, absolutely, and they deserve to be. But
I'm just saying, your argument right now sucks. That's what I'm saying.
The thing about Hades is that it is a very personal experience when you're going through. No playthrough is going to be the same. The storyline is something that you are going to be able to relate to, and that you can enjoy or you cannot enjoy, but it gives you that option and it gives you that right to be able to choose it. With Animal Crossing, you get all of those same kind of like personable experiences, creating your island, being able to customize it, being able to express yourself however you want. And then you can physically share that and go out and look at other people's islands as well.
Yeah, but I mean, you're just highlighting the differences in the game.
But I'm just saying, like, that sense of community is one of the things that makes it so strong. And the fact that it is as successful as it has been, and with those numbers to kind of like, those sales numbers to prove it, mean that there are tons of other people out there who also want to share, and that potential of being able to share those experiences. There's always something new to discover. And for me, that's one of the reasons why I keep playing the game.
Yeah, but like all the things that you just said, you could say about Hades as well, sans the playing with each other online. And you know that. I can see it in your weird eyes.
However, you can share different builds that you make in Hades, but there's no guarantee that you can recreate those builds.
Yeah, but now you're just arguing fundamentals. I mean, that's
right,
like saying, they use the color blue so much more in game A versus game B. And it's kind of like, who gives a shit?
All right. So how do we solve this?
I
Got a
know.
coin?
I know.
I got my coin generator up. This is so much harder than last year with Untitled Goose Game. Like, we had a... You know what? Let's call Resident Evil 3 our game of the year.
We can't do that. We called Resident Evil 2 Remake our game of the year last year.
Oh, man.
I think I have made a decision.
Okay.
I don't want to say it, but I think that Hades is 2.
It's close. It's so close. It is like... Seriously, one good or bad experience on either side due to RNG that can really separate it.
But in terms of fundamentals, I will say, for the damn record, unless you want to concede right now, that Animal Crossing has some problems with it. Animal Crossing made some changes that were not universally praised. Some.
Animal Crossing also has more content that's going to be coming out, which is one of the things
that but so is Hades.
Well, it doesn't really have new stuff coming out.
Yeah, they're updating the shit out of that game.
All right, fine. But it is one of the things that I'm very interested to see how it goes into, like, going forward, how it's going to maintain this momentum.
Yeah, I mean, does it only have 3 months left of content, or does it have another 6 months?
Well, that's
we don't know. So, yeah. Bad game.
Here's what I'm going to say. In the long run, over the course of everything, I think Hades will be referenced a little bit more simply because of the design decisions. However, it being 2020, I think Animal Crossing is the stronger of the two.
You just took forever to say that. I'm going to say that in the future, in the long run, all right? Taking a page from you. Out of your book.
Gotta wrap it up. You're really kind of dragging on this.
Hades is going to be referenced so much more for its design decisions that were innovative and are going to push the genre forward. Animal Crossing, I don't think so. Not so much. When the next Animal Crossing comes out for the next console, this one is not going to be remembered for its mechanics, for whatever. It's a good experience. It's not pushing any boundaries. It's going to be remembered because, hey, remember that time that Animal Crossing came out at the exact right time that it needed to for so many people, and that's really important.
Think that's it.
But yeah,
I think we're talking about the quality and the ingenuity of a game versus a game that literally came out at the perfect time in the perfect place.
And that's why Animal Crossing is number 2.
But this contest is for what's the best game for this time in this place.
That's not what this is about. I never said that ever.
It's literally called Game of the Year, not Game of the Genre or Game of the Generation.
It's not game that represents the year. Anyway, I'm conceding. Hades at number 2. Animal Crossing New Horizons, a game I've never played, at number 1.
Recapping our list, we have number 6, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Number 5, Resident Evil 3 Remake. Number 4, Snack World. Respect. Number 3, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Number 2, Hades.
Oh.
And number 1, Animal Crossing New Horizons, by a very close margin. Holy shit, Oni, we did it.
Oh my god, I hate this every year. So tired. Hungry, I'm weak.
That's how I get you. I'm all about the endurance in these things.
You have never been about endurance in anything, bro. Let's be honest. But there's one last question, Galen.
What's that?
Animal Crossing versus Resident Evil 2 Remake.
Animal Crossing, still.
Resident Evil 2 Remake.
Yeah, agree to disagree.
Are we really ending our entire episode on agree to disagree?
You're the one who brought it up, man.
No one likes your opinions, man.
That's why they keep tuning in.
Boy, oh boy. Next year, man. Next year's gonna be a crazy year, 2021.
We got some prediction results to go over. We've got some predictions to make.
Our next episode is going to be a big one. We're going to reevaluate.
Retool.
The predictions that we made, and we're going to find out who is the real video game boy on this podcast. And then we're also going to make predictions for 2021 as well.
My prediction for next episode and who the winner of that one will be, Thor High Heels.
Oh. Lovely. We also have some changes happening in 2021 to the Nintendo Everything podcast. We are, at least temporarily, going to be moving to a bi-weekly format. Breaking news right here, bi-weekly format. That means that every other week we will release an episode.
He's been draining me way too much, people. I just need a break. I can't do this anymore. Like, I need some time to recover from his Oni-isms. He's exhausting. Did you guys know this? He is exhausting.
Bitch, try living in it. We talk like 2 hours every week. I am in this machine, okay? I'm in this Magitech suit of armor 24/7. Anyway, the real thing is I mean, we're both busy, but recently I've taken on a lot of work, like more than healthy. I've been working 7 days straight for several weeks now. I took half a day off on Christmas, and it was really nice. I just, while my current project is going on, gotta move this to a bi-weekly format, a decision I did not want to make. Please understand that this was something I've been thinking about for way over a month, and something I didn't want to do unless it was, physically necessary for me. And unfortunately,
I feel like it's physically necessary. I know you've been not only burning the candle on both ends, but you have like thrown out the box, gotten another one, and now you're lighting the box on fire.
Yeah. So please understand, it's at least temporary. We'll see in the future, we might go back to the weekly format. We greatly, greatly appreciate all of our listeners so very much. And, we don't want our listenership to go down. So that is why we are also going to make our bi-weekly episodes even better. We are both making a very strong commitment to bring a lot of preparedness to each episode, and we're going to be talking about a lot of video games. We're going to be going back and playing the games that we missed this 2020 that we already own. We're going to go back and play some retro games, and we're going to have so much more to talk about. So I want to hear from all of you what you guys think about this decision, what you want to hear from us in a bi-weekly format. We are so committed to making sure that this show not only, maintains the quality, which is a sad sentence, but really, really improves.
Yeah.
And we might even dip into other bits of media a little bit as well, just to get the creative juices flowing a little bit. So we might talk about a movie that we saw. If we saw a really good movie, we might talk about a TV show, right, Galen?
Yeah, absolutely. I think of it like an expansion / like collaboration with our additional DLC and our adventure log.
Yeah.
No.
So please do follow us on Twitter. I'm at Oni_Dino.
And I am at Mobius087.
And please do come join our Discord. Links are in the description, or you can go to your URL and type in tiny.cc/Nintendo Everything Pod, and it should take you right to our Discord.
There you go.
And, of course, our Discord is also a great little community that we have. We do community chats once in a while. We've done once per month so far. So, we'll do them from time to time, whatever you guys want to do. And, there's people to get together to play games. Everybody that is a listener has that in common, right? You listen and you like listening to video games and talk about video games. So you all have stuff in commman with each other, and I want you all to join in.
Yeah, there's some good people over there, and I think just recently we, during our community thing, I got a little antsy and decided to throw in some Jackbox, and we all just played Jackbox together for like an hour.
Yeah, and I unfortunately didn't join because I was multitasking. I was working at the same time when we were doing the talk, because that's kind of what's going on with me right now. That's why I'm trying to, hopefully take off one day every other week. We'll see if that can work. We'll see.
Yeah.
We really, really love this community that we have. It's so important to us. Such a cool group of people. My God. and I mean, in the Discord is such a sliver of our listenership, There's hundreds and hundreds more.
We have cool art over there.
We do. Our resident hero of Hyrulean fan art, Pexi, she uploads basically at least once per day some Zelda fan art and sometimes other. It's great. Thank you, Pexi. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So we will see you in 2021. I will say that I'm not exactly sure which week the episode will come out on. I don't know if the 2021 first episode is going to be the 3rd of January or the 10th of January. Still figuring that out, but you can pay attention in the Discord or on Twitter, or, of course, the website, nintendoeverything.com, which is, where we'll also put out the episode. Or just, subscribe to us on your podcast listening platform. Sorry that this is all boring and like super honest and not like super upbeat like we usually do, but just got to get real.
I can go back to providing the background music.
No, I've already got background music in the background. So please, join me on Twitter or our Discord, and, then you'll hear about it there. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to a bunch of weirdos.
Yeah, thanks for listening to us still in, of course, this crazy year, which is not interesting to say. Like everybody says, 2020 was a year like no other. It's like, yeah, bitch, we know. I can't stand it when people tread water and just kind of repeat the same stuff over and over again.
Seriously. No, it's actually been really aggravating because I've been seeing a lot more of that lately.
Yes, especially as the year's wrapping up. Like, it's so inauthentic. Like, just be you.
Nah, I'm not going to end on that note.
Gotta end on a positive note, right? Doing this weekly and, having this part of our routine and, like, having us as part of your routine, listening, is so cool, especially, this year. So hopefully as the year gets better with 2021 later on, just want to grow with people. And
absolutely.
Travel the world, maybe meet some of y'all.
Remember traveling. It's going to be so nice again.
It's going to be nice eventually.
I've got a list of all the places I want to go to.
Galen, why is Mushroom Kingdom the #1 on your list?
Because they have very loose, border control.
Oh!
It's going to be really easy to get in.
Why? Is it because the toads are so short and you're so tall, or?
Well, a majority of them are trapped into blocks, so you've got that going for you. And then, if anybody's like, hey, go ahead, stop, what are you doing? I just, step over them, and I'm, totally okay.
Galen, that was not a bad toad voice! You've been doing better!
Yay, improvements! 2020 wasn't a wash. Thank you very much for listening.
Make a joke.
Stay tuned to us next year.
Yes,
and
make a joke.
For everything Nintendo.
No, but make a joke. Say something funny.
Oh. Wait. No, I just said something funny. That was my highlight.
Did you? Stay tuned to Nintendo Everything. We'll see you next year.
See See you next year, everyone.
Bye bye.